Mine's better.
This game didn't exist. 2D is better.
You just don't like change, boomer.
Don't call me a boomer.
So yeah, say whatever you want.
Guys,
you still know 3D's better.
What's all the arguing about?
Oh, just trying to convince this dying generation that 3D Zelda games are better.
Okay, coming from a guy who's never played a classic 2D Zelda game.
I don't need to play trash to know it when I see it.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. It's gonna be slow. It's gonna be painful. And I'm gonna enjoy it.
Hold up though, like why all the arguing? I mean, they're all Zelda games, they can't be that different.
Bitch! Have you ever played a 2D Zelda game?
Well, I mean, I played Phantom Hourglass as a kid.
Yes, good. So you know how fun the classic top-down 2D Zelda games are.
Sky, don't listen to this man from the Stone Age. He's gonna freaking blow it into dust any minute now. Besides, I know how much you love 3D games, so why would you down D in this day and age?
I mean, I think I'm just a Zelda fan in general, so I'll give it a shot.
Well, good. I've got just the game.
Sky, don't do it! It's a trap!
I like traps.
Yes, the long debate that has Zelda fans biting each other's peepees off over how many Ds should be in each game. I'm talking about dimensions. Which is better, the classic 2D Zelda games where the series got its beloved start, or the newer 3D adventures that honestly bop hard? It is a difficult comparison to make because yes, they are both Zelda games, but different in many ways and similar in others. Do we compare sales? Because if that's the case, 3D games have sold around 64 million copies, while the 2D games have sold around 56 million. There are more 2D games made, but the best selling are Breath of the Wild with 28.2 million, Ocarina of Time with 13.9 million, and Link's Awakening with 11.5 million, and Twilight Princess in 4th place with 10 million. So if that were the case, then I guess 3D wins, but I think we need to actually play these 2D adventures to find out which really is better. I have played every 3D Zelda game, from Ocarina all the way up to Breath of the Wild, and have beaten all of them except Wind Waker. I know, don't sue me. I'm working on it, okay? The only 2D game I have played and beaten is Phantom Hourglass, which I loved playing through as a kid, so it's not like I hate the second dimensional games. Thinking about it, I'm not really sure why I didn't play any others. Maybe because most were made for handhelds and the DS was the first handheld I got. Was it the graphics, the accessibility? Maybe it's a combo of all of them. Not to mention that physical Zelda games are super expensive to purchase, which makes me sad now that I'm older. That being said, Nintendo has done a good job of trying to make their older games more accessible to new audiences by releasing remakes or ports to newer consoles as well as the Virtual Console. So there are ways to play through the classic Zelda titles, but if you want them physically, you better take out another mortgage on your house. All in all, as of right now, myself and many others don't really have a valid excuse as to why we haven't played any 2D games. So with the recent release of Link's Awakening, the remake for the Switch, I will give the 2D adventure another open-minded go. Link's Awakening was first released back in 1993 on the Game Boy, and then a DX version released in 1998 for the Game Boy Color, and in 2019 for the Switch, which is the remake, obviously. Now, I've never played the original, so I'm not comparing the remake to that, but rather to a 3D Zelda adventure. There are lots of obvious differences when you first jump in. A fixed top-down camera angle with a grid layout, which means you can move in 8 directions on the 2D plane. With the camera always set to Link, it kinda makes it nice not having to worry about fighting the camera, as well as in this version, there is continuous flow instead of every time you move off camera into a new area, the console having to move over and load that area, if that makes sense. Whenever you move to a new area, things reset, so if you chop grass and walk until it's off camera, it will grow back as soon as you move back over to it. There's still lots of Zelda familiarity because this is still a Zelda adventure no matter how it is presented. Collecting things is still part of the main goal, from items and tools to rupees, heart pieces, and even these shells, which there are 50 of them for you to collect in exchange for other items and a better sword. There are lots of items you collect that you will recognize from other Zelda titles, such as the bow, the hookshot, bombs, and even the mirror shield, which allows you to reflect back enemy attacks. But there are some new ones that I've never seen personally before, like the Pegasus boots, which allow you to charge at things. These were first introduced in Link to the Past, so true Zelda fans would have already experienced this, as well as the jump feather, which allows you to do just that, jump. Another thing that I thought was interesting was that you can buy the bow and bombs from the shop instead of finding them in a dungeon. You don't need a bomb bag either, as well as rupee wallets. I never pushed to see what the max rupees you could hold is, but I was able to hold enough to buy all the goodies I wanted. You can fish in this title, which is almost a staple in Zelda games at this point, as well as playing this crane game. It's heavily used for a side quest collecting all these trophies. There is a rapids minigame where you can collect tons of money and items. Side note, when this game first released back in 2019, I saw that people said they were having frame rate issues, but as of right now, I never really experienced any due to Nintendo fixing their game. The biggest difference I learned was the combat. Due to the grid layout, enemies can only attack in a straight line. Yes, it is pretty simple, yet still satisfying. I really started to enjoy the simplicity of the combat. There are a few enemies which aren't on the ground playing field, so you do have to throw something to kill them, but that just changes things up a bit. Also, no more dying to goddamn bats. Although the map is smaller compared to a typical 3D adventure, it was still tons of fun to explore and discover all the secrets riddled throughout. It may be smaller, but it really felt like a lot was packed into it, so it constantly felt like you were finding secrets and making new discoveries. I love the art style. The best way to describe this game would be cute. This is a very cute video game. The characters look great and are full of personality. The enemy designs are great too, as well as in this one you find classic Mario enemies from Goombas to Chain Chomps. Since it is kind of limited being a 2D Zelda game, it is very puzzle heavy, which I am a big fan of. I felt like you were always constantly trying to solve puzzles, especially in dungeons. It seemed like every room you go into serves a purpose or has a puzzle to solve. Using my small brain to solve puzzles is one of my favorite things to do in any Zelda game. The devs do a great job of giving the player just enough to help them get through the journey. The compass you get in each dungeon is clutch by not only showing you the locations of each chest, but also making a noise whenever there is a secret in a room. You can also pick up this beak item, which allows you to insert into the owl statues for hints. All the boss fights were fun too. Most being pretty easy, but were satisfying trying to figure out each weakness and defeat them. Because of how the game is laid out, it forces you to constantly switch between items, which is another good thing in my opinion. You don't ever feel like you have a useless item. That being said, 99% of the time I had the jumping feather equipped because jumping is fun and you do a lot of it throughout Link's Awakening. The game is pretty linear, and if I ever found myself stuck, I would just wander around the map until I triggered a cutscene or unlocked a secret that allowed me to advance the story. By doing this, I was able to stumble upon the color dungeon, which is super awesome by the way, allowing you to change tunics that come with a power-up advantage. The red tunic gives you more offensive power to kill things, and the blue tunic gives you more defensive power that makes you take half as much damage from enemies. You can go back and change as many times as you want, so try them both out. Let's not forget about everyone's favorite creepy graveyard man, Dampy. When you go to his shop, he allows you to access the dungeon builder, which is really cool in theory, but wasn't real exciting for me. You get to build your own dungeons and traverse through them, but you only get preset rooms that you have already explored throughout the game. Link's Awakening story is pretty basic. You wake up on a beach, remember nothing, collect all these instruments to wake the windfish. However, after you defeat every boss, they tell you that if you wake the windfish, the whole island and everyone on it will disappear, implying that this is all just a dream. That being said, you can totally have an Inception moment where you can sleep and travel to another dream world to find the ocarina, so it's a dream within a dream. Also, the ocarina is nice, it allows you to fast travel to all the warp points you have previously discovered. I did notice that there was no Triforce, Ganon, or Zelda in this title, so overall, as far as the story goes, it was very different from a Zelda game, but it was still fun and vibrant. As far as the 2D versus 3D experience goes in this title specifically, I loved the differences that it has to offer. It's very puzzle heavy, but that part I really enjoyed. You still get to explore a really well designed map and are rewarded for it. Lots of things to do and find hidden throughout the island. The combat is simplified, yes, but there are less things to worry about and manage, and it is a great change-up. Speaking for myself, personally, I don't typically play Zelda games for the combat, although it is nice when the combat is fun, and in this case it is. I do appreciate all the familiarity too, because overall it still feels like any classic Zelda adventure. Link's Awakening Remake is a great introduction into the world of 2D Zelda games for anyone that is iffy about a 2D Zelda game, or has really never tried one. I wish I would have played more sooner. Yes, they are different in their presentation and how you play, but at their core still feel and are Zelda games. That is what you should get from any Zelda game. A fun, exciting, puzzle-solving adventure.
I see how it is. You're gonna side with this old guy instead of playing a beautiful 3D classic? Come on.
All right, listen here. This is also a classic.
No,
Much
man.
more
I don't
classic
care
than
how
that one.
old your crap is.
2D or 3D, which is better? It's such a crime to love them both together. And 3D is all that I've ever known, but I finally played a 2D Zelda game on my own. I've always loved 3D Zelda games, but I played a 2D one called Link's Awakening. Now why do we fight over something stupid? It doesn't matter what kind of D. What matters is how you use it. The first Zelda game was in the second dimension. Played on the NES was a real great invention. And everybody's thrilled when they finally figured out you gotta set a blaze to that tree. When Ocarina of Time finally hit, man, it's a damn good game, everybody admit. There's a lot of things that had to change. The three-dimensional world was never the same. Now that you found a new love, it doesn't mean your first one you give up. And I'm telling you it's okay to love both of them the same. We all love our Zelda games, finding treasure, stealing rupees, and breaking the shit out of everything. And I think we can all agree that Zelda is amazing, no matter the D.
Cole, what's this?
Sky, you're awake. This is just like a Star Wars.
Don't tell him that.
Angry?
Yeah. What matters is how you use it.
Crap. I was that close.
Freaking cough that came by.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This has been a project in the making for a very long time, and I am finally excited to present it to you all. I hope you all enjoy, leave a like, subscribe. We make videos like this all the time. Working on the music video was a lot of fun, and I actually wrote and recorded the song myself. It has been a blast working on this project, like I already mentioned. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, not only subscribing helps, but we have a Patreon if you want to go subscribe to that, where we have tons of behind-the-scenes content, and it is just a lot of fun making videos for you guys. We really appreciate all the support. We also have a merchandise store where we sell shirts and hoodies. Be sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. Always appreciated. And as always, keep it rad.